Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. So you saw me get the frames out of the freezer. What you didn't see is a lesson that I just learned. So I haven't had a lot of experience putting frames in the freezer, so all I had is that little just upright refrigerator with the top freezer. And I packed them frames in there as tight as I could get them to get as many in there as possible to freeze them all. So what happened was, I suppose all that mass in there from all those frames, and a lot of those frames had a lot of honey in them and some pollen in it and stuff. Anyway, there was a lot of physical mass in there for that freezer to cool off. So what happened was, as they cooled, the wax moth larvae worked their way into the middle where it was warm and to stay warm, and they just went on a rampage eating that wax. And I assume they ate the wax to generate body heat to stay warm. So basically what I found was probably a blob that big in the middle of all those frames was just infested with those wax moth larvae, and they destroyed those frames completely. It was very disappointing. So I guess what happened, they got in there and they built all that, and they built all their web, and it was packed in there tight. So they had their own little insulation built, and looked to me like they lived in there for quite a while. So yeah, freezing those frames, about half of them were ruined. So I pulled out all the frozen little wax moth larvae and threw them in a bucket with all their web, and the chickens had a feast on that. And I set out the frames that I pulled that out of, and there was still honey in a lot of that because those things don't eat the honey. And I set that out, and that's thawing out, and the bees are going to rob all that out and bring it back in here, and they'll have that for winter. So what I'm going to do is I have the 10 best frames that I got out of that freezer, and there's some good ones in there with some honey, and some so-so. But I'm going to put them on this hive number 17 over here. You can see it's a single deep, and it's thriving last I was in it. So I'm hoping I'm not too soon to do this, and I'm hoping that with the honey they got in there, plus this fall flow we got hitting is starting right now, they'll be able to pack some honey in there, and the queen may get in there and put a little bit of brood in there. I don't know, but we'll have to keep a close eye on it and make sure that it doesn't get infested again, and that there's enough population in hive number 17 to keep this thing cleaned out and pest free. So let's get over there, let's pop the top and check it out real quick, and then we'll put this other deep on there. Okay, here we are at hive 17, and it's got really good activity out front. In fact, all the hives in here are really buzzing, and bees are just getting it in and out. So that tells me that the fall nectar flow is starting up, and that's a good thing. So I'll give you a shot of this hive over here just to show you what I'm talking about. Man, it is really getting after it. So that hive number 4 there, the one on the left on the end, that's the one I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see the bees going in and out of there, but it's really getting after it. That was a really strong hive this year. In fact, I got about 1 3/4 supers of honey off of that. So this one here next to it's not bad either. So all the hives are hitting it full force today. So one thing I noticed just now, these 2 hives here, I forgot to take the entrance reduction off when I did my oxalic acid treatment. So that's not a good thing. One on the left looks like it's not a big deal, but this one over here, I got it choked down to just that little tiny entrance there. So that's not good at all. When you are out working in the bee yard and you get hot and you start hurrying, cutting corners, you forget things like that. So I need to correct that right this minute, and then we'll get started on Hive 17 here. So the hive didn't feel real heavy when I popped that top like that. I lifted the whole thing. So I may be a little premature in thinking I'm going to add that deep on here. Just looking from the top here, it looks nice and healthy. So I'm not going to give them any smoke just yet. Let's see how we do without it. Got a few beetles in here. There's one live one on the outside I got. I'm going to go ahead and pull them both, because if I put that other box on, I want these on top. Here's the absconded hive comb, which looks like it's just attracting hive beetles right now. They're not doing anything with it. The way they were dragging the rubber bands out the front door, I thought they might be using it. Man, these beetles are everywhere. Nothing going on there. So this is a heavier frame. This side's empty. This side we got capped honey, and it's nectar right in here. So they're bringing some in right here. They're not doing anything with that. A little bit of nectar right there. So I'm going to move it outside of this frame. So here we got us a nice brood frame. Lots of cap brood on there on both sides. Same thing here. And the ones that have emerged in the middle have larvae in them, so the queen's backfilling. And same thing on this side. Don't see the queen. Here's a whole frame of capped brood. And this is half capped, half pollen. So there's a lot of brood in here. Here's another brood frame. And another. And she's backfilled all these that have emerged. This is a very good queen. Like to see her. Well, I've missed her apparently, but she's laid eggs in that empty spot right there. That's all eggs. Oh, here she is. She's on the other side of this frame. And we've marked her green. This is a queen ivy that we got green all over her. And her wings looks like it might be a little messed up. I'm going to get rid of this burr comb right here. She's right here. Yeah, her right wing is not right. And that's from that botched up marking job that I did. Let's go ahead and get this back in here. But she's laying good. It's come swarm time, she's not going to fly anywhere. So I think with the way she's laying, all that brood that's in there, it's going to start emerging, and all these bees in here that are nurse bees are going to start foraging. So this hive is going to really kick it in here pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and put that other deep on there, and I'm just going to monitor it closely. Well, that's no good. If anything, I want that those frames protected from pests. So let's go ahead and get that on there. So this deep box here weighs probably 40 pounds. There's quite a bit of honey in here. So this will give this hive some honey stores that they don't have right now. All those bees are going to be emerging. They're going to need food when the flow stops. So this will help them out. But the question is, do they have enough population to protect it? So like I said, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. This isn't one of those set it and forget it things. Okay, that's it for Hive 17. We got it set up with the extra deep. So like I said, we're going to have to keep an eye on this and make sure that we didn't give them more than they can handle. And we don't want this infested with pests such as hive beetles and wax moth larvae will eat this up if they can't defend it. Based on, I think I saw 4 at least and maybe 5 frames that were full of brood. So, well, not completely full, but fairly full. And all those bees are going to start emerging. This hive is going to become pretty strong, and I was kind of concerned about that much population in a single deep going into winter with as little food stores as they have. So to me, they're a little overpopulated for this single. But adding about 35 pounds of honey up here, that's going to help them out, and they may just migrate on up into the top to overwinter up there. So we'll see. We'll keep our eye on it. So hey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel on your way out and give me a thumbs up if you would, and we'll catch you on the next video. Y'all take care.